Okay, let's talk about a word you've probably been hearing everywhere lately. Maybe you've even been feeling it. That word is burnout. And while it seems like everyone's talking about it, it's also really misunderstood. So we're going to break down what it really is, where it comes from, and most importantly, how we can move from that feeling of total exhaustion to feeling empowered again.
Wow. This quote from a nurse it really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's not about suddenly being bad at your job. It's about losing that connection, that spark. It's that feeling of just going through the motions when you used to be all in. So, I have to ask, does any of that sound familiar? That feeling of detachment, or that cynicism creeping in, or just being completely and utterly drained? If you're nodding your head right now, listen, you are so far from being alone in this.
All right, here's a quick look at our roadmap. We're going to start by defining what burnout actually is. Then we'll dig into the real causes. We'll even see what it does to your brain. And then we'll get to the good stuff, practical strategies for recovery and how to prevent it from happening again.
Okay, let's dive right in. First up, what exactly is job burnout? Because it's so important to get this right. We've all had a bad week or even a bad month, but burnout, well, that's a whole different animal. It's a specific, recognized thing. In fact, the World Health Organization gives it this official definition. And the fact that it's in their International Classification of Diseases is a big deal. They call it an occupational phenomenon, which is just a formal way of saying it is specifically tied to your job. And the key words here are chronic and unmanaged stress.
So what does that actually feel like? The WHO breaks it down into this three-part storm. First, there's that feeling of just being completely out of gas, total exhaustion. Second, you start to feel this mental distance from your job. Maybe you get a little cynical. And third, you get this feeling of reduced accomplishment, like the work you're doing just doesn't make a difference anymore.
And these things show up in some really common ways. Imagine a guy, we'll call him Mark. He works in finance, used to love the challenge, but now he's dreading Sunday nights, he's tired even after a full night's sleep, and he just can't seem to focus on spreadsheets that used to be second nature. Those are the classic red flags that burnout is setting in.
This brings us to what might be the most important part of this whole explainer, figuring out the real causes. And here's the big takeaway, the thing I really want you to hear. Burnout is almost never about you. It's about the environment you're working in.
And look, the research on this is just overwhelmingly clear. Burnout is not a sign that you're weak, or that you failed, or that you can't handle it. It's a totally predictable, totally human response to being in an unsustainable work environment for too long.
Now, what's really cool about this slide is how it separates the two. On the left, you've got the real causes, things like a crushing workload or a toxic culture. These are the sparks. On the right, you have personal risk factors. Things like being a perfectionist don't cause burnout, but they can act like kindling, making you more vulnerable when those environmental sparks start to fly.
Okay, so let's get a little nerdy for a second. What's actually happening inside your head during all of this? Because it turns out burnout has a real, physical, measurable impact on your brain.
I love this analogy. It's perfect. Stress is the marathon. It's tough, it's demanding, but you can finish and recover. Burnout, that's what happens after you've tried to run marathons every single day with no rest. Your body just hits the emergency brake. It's a total system shutdown.
So that chronic stress literally starts to rewire things. Your prefrontal cortex, think of it as your brain's CEO, it gets foggy. That's why you can't concentrate. Meanwhile, your limbic system, your emotional alarm system, it gets stuck in the on position, making you feel irritable and on edge. Your entire nervous system is basically trapped in fight or flight mode, making it almost impossible to ever truly relax. Now, I know that sounds pretty intense, but here is the most important part of this section. This is the ray of sunshine. These changes are not permanent. Thanks to this amazing thing our brains can do called neuroplasticity, they have an incredible ability to heal and build new pathways once that chronic stress is gone.
So the big question is, how do we kickstart that healing process? This is where we get into the practical, actionable stuff. There is absolutely a path back to well-being.
And you gotta know, recovery isn't like flipping a switch. It's a journey. It often happens in phases. It starts with just recognition, admitting, okay, this is what's happening. Then you move to stabilization, getting sleep, eating well, setting some basic boundaries. After that, you're ready for true recovery, making deeper changes. And finally, it's all about prevention, so this never happens again.
And here's a brilliant tool that companies can use to help with that, a phased return to work plan. Instead of expecting someone to jump from 0 right back to 100, you gradually ease back in. It's a simple idea, but it supports a way healthier, more sustainable transition.
And on a personal level, recovery is all about these small, actionable steps. Setting boundaries, like actually turning off your work notifications after 6 p.m., is huge. It's non-negotiable. Prioritizing sleep, reconnecting with people who lift you up, and learning how to actually communicate what you need, these are the real building blocks of getting better.
Okay, so you're on the road to recovery. Fantastic. But how do you stop yourself from ending up in the same spot a year from now? Well, this is where this really empowering idea called job crafting comes in.
So, what is job crafting? It's basically you becoming the architect of your own job. It's not about finding a new job, it's about taking the job you already have and proactively shaping it, tweaking it so it fits you better, your strengths, your passions, and your values.
And there are 3 main ways you can do this. Let's go back to that nurse from the beginning. For her, task crafting might mean volunteering to mentor a new nurse, shifting more time to tasks that feel rewarding. Relational crafting could mean making a point to have lunch with the really supportive colleagues, not the ones who just complain. And cognitive crafting is all about mindset, reframing her day to focus on the one patient she truly connected with instead of all the chaos.
And all of this, all these ideas, they all lead to our final and maybe most crucial point. The goal isn't just to survive our jobs, it's to redefine what success and ambition even mean so they can last a lifetime.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. This isn't about giving up or deciding you don't care anymore. It's about being smart with your ambition. It's about learning to chase your goals in a way that actually fuels you instead of completely draining you. So I want to leave you with one final thought to take with you. Just look at your week ahead. What's one small thing, one task, one meeting, one conversation, or even just one thought about your job that you can reshape even just a little bit to make your work a better fit for you?